Hey guys, Arterot here, bringing to you a story of a politician breaking the law. What a shocker. Okay, actually the story's not quite as simple as you might think. Alright, the words politicians and crooks have generally been more closely associated than one would expect. Much of the time it's either intended cynically or simply as a joke, though there have been plenty of instances of outright corruption or even unrelated infractions against the law to make the title stick. Back in August, however, there was a mayor, Juan Manuel Sanchez Gordillo, who all but embraced the acts, if not the title itself, when he committed what is probably the least expected crime you would think of a politician. Namely, he robbed supermarkets. No, seriously. While he was not, to my knowledge, taking product from the supermarkets himself, he organized a series of thefts where labor unionists would fill carts with food and leave without paying while Gordillo stood outside. To my knowledge, there was no violence, nobody hurt, probably because the crowd of supporters was sizable, no doubt discouraging any employees from even considering interfering in the theft. Gordillo hasn't, for the record, tried to deny any of this, and has in fact taken full credit for his actions. He said that he's doing this in protest of the economic recessions and troubles that have hit the country, with high unemployment rates and extreme poverty running rampant, as well as insisting that all the stolen food is going directly to the families who have been hit hardest by the economic crisis. Now, arrests were made amongst those who carried out the robberies, but at the time the story broke at least, Gordillo himself was not taken into custody. See, as a member of the country's regional parliament, he has political immunity to prosecution. Though it should be noted that he has stated he'd be willing to give up that immunity and be taken into confinement if it would help get his message across. Now, this is actually more of a gray area than I initially thought. I mean, on the one hand, there is the matter that he's outright breaking the law. And when you start making allowances and exceptions for actions on such a scale, well, what becomes too much? Perjury in court to protest perceived juror bias? Committing assault to protest bullying? Trolling Gangnam-style video comments because you're sick about everyone trolling Justin Bieber's video comments? Look, when you begin to say that this is acceptable, or that is permissible, it can become dangerous. Now note I say can, doesn't necessarily mean it will, because on the other hand, well, if things have gotten so bad that we have politicians stealing food to give it to the poor, it does suggest that maybe the government currently in charge just isn't doing enough. Gordillo is a minor politician under normal circumstances, which means he doesn't have that much official pull in the workings of the conservative government, which, to judge from the fact that a quarter of the workforce don't have jobs, and a multitude of people have been evicted from their dwellings, well, suggests that they're not performing admirably right now. This could have, in theory, made Gordillo determined, or desperate, enough to resort to extreme measures, so he can get the word out. Of course, there is another side to this, which is the question of whether Gordillo is a man trying to stand for what he believes to be right, or a shrewd politician gathering public support. Now, I obviously don't know Gordillo personally, but looking at this, I can't help but think that he at least has relatively good intentions. Now, whether what he's doing is actually right or advisable is another matter entirely, and I don't consider myself enough of a student in the field of economics to really judge either way. I will say that what has tipped things in Gordillo's favor, in my opinion at least, was that these weren't violent demonstrations, and that this man does seem to have a fair hand at running the town for which he's been a mayor for 30 years. In addition, he's evidently been critical of the major political forces for a long time, which puts him head over shoulders over some homegrown politicians who change their opinions and platforms as often as I change my glasses prescription. However, I do realize that there is a counter-argument to be made, such as the accusations that Gordillo's supporters have actively suppressed anyone harboring opposing views in Gordelo's town. And though his town does have an unemployment rate of 5%, a bulk of the income that this self-coined communist paradise makes has actually come from external capitalist sources, which kind of opposes the entire idea of a self-sustaining community. Anyway, I invite you guys to discuss the matter in the comments below. Provide any information you turn up, or just your pure opinion. This is Arterot explaining that the only reason I didn't draw a Robin Hood comparison was that every single news outlet in creation already beat me to it.